The Supreme Court, I think, has given us very clear and definitive guideposts in how to resolve the problems that we have with 8 of the 40 Senate districts. This is not unusual. Actually, President Margolis, who's been in the Senate for a long time, gave me a little history lesson the other day. It turns out that every time this happens, in the 80s and the 90s and 2002, there's always a legal challenge, and the legislature always has to make adjustments, and that's what we'll do this year.
You've talked about making adjustments specifically to the 8 districts in question here. Some are suggesting that if you change those 8, it affects virtually the whole map. How do you respond to that?
Well, unless somebody's going to allow us to go out into the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf of Mexico or take parts of Georgia and Alabama in order to make the adjustments, of course, contiguous districts will be affected. But it's a settled principle of law that the remedy should not exceed the problem. So we're not going to go out of our way to be involved in changing districts that have already been declared to be valid. But of course, bordering districts may be affected depending upon changes that we have to make in the 8 districts that were pointed out by the Supreme Court as needing change.
As far as the numbering of the districts, that issue goes, how do you plan to address that, where I guess many of the incumbents were going to get 10 years or more?
Well, there are several ways that it could be done. We tried a formula system. The Supreme Court apparently didn't like that. So there are 2 or 3 different ways that we can do it. We can draw lots. We can have a different kind of formula. We can try a kind of continuous numbering system without having the pencil leave the map. But we'll bring all that up before the reapportionment committee, and we'll let the committee decide.
So you feel pretty good about your prospects to get it redrawn and, not having to send it over to the court to draw?
I think so. Again, in the 80s, the 90s, and right after this millennium turned, there were always challenges to the maps, legal challenges. The court always has a role in reviewing and always finds something that they want changed. We think we can make the changes. The court has given us a clear roadmap to follow. We plan to follow it, and I think we can get the job done in 15 days.